Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show.
You're not Ashley.
I'm not. How's it going?
It's good. Our producer this week is Mallory Hartley. Hi, Mallory.
Good to be here.
Who?
Back. Whoa,
Oh,
what
what?
was that?
What? Oh, John
Hey.
Jeyarajah is here.
What's up?
Whoa.
Hey.
What a strange show this
Wow.
is.
God.
New
Just
producer,
started.
a new co-host.
All right.
I guess a special guest. What do you want to be? Grand Poobah?
No, I don't want that.
I like it. I
You
like
know,
it.
I don't know. I'm gonna, the executive guest.
Executive.
Executive guest sounds
Wow.
very
Senior guest.
senior executive guest. Shehan Jeyarajah is here, our college football insider. He's back from the West.
The Wild West.
Yes.
You were in El Paso. I'm extremely envious.
A lot of places. I was in Big Bend too. Went to
I'm
Terlingua.
extremely envious of everything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So we started in Taos, New Mexico, which was amazing, by the way. I did not expect anything really with Taos, but it was really cool. Went down to Santa Fe for a night. Car got broken into. No.
Radical.
There were fun times. Actually, you know that old pair of shoes that I have that squeaks?
Yes, I do.
That's like the only thing they stole. Like, because it was in the car.
Well, you know what?
This is
As
awesome.
somebody who has heard those shoes a lot,
Yeah,
I don't know
not
if I'd file a
disappointed,
claim.
yeah.
I'd be like, it's fine.
No,
You're
no.
not disappointed.
No. It's probably time. And then we went down, stopped in Albuquerque, and then went down to El Paso for 2 days. Then went into Marfa, and then Big Bend, and then came back.
Is it really dry there? Because they're not getting really any rain down in the west.
So I will say, we happened to go apparently during the only time, literally in the last year, that it's rained in every single place. So we did actually get a lot of rain, but it is very dry. So we bought like 3 of those 2.5 gallon water jugs for the trip. Only had one of them. We are very dehydrated.
Jeez.
So I'm trying to catch up now because we did a very bad job.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here because I want to ask you
Yes.
about it.
Okay.
I want to ask you about it.
Boom.
I think. Oh wow. Hello.
Oh.
No, we're wide.
I like that shot, so I want to
yes.
put it in there.
I want to issue a statement
Oh boy.
that the 4th of July should always be on Sunday. Okay?
I saw your tweet,
4th
and
of July
I agree with you on
is
that
the
for sure.
optimal day because it's one of the very few federal holidays that's kind of like it floats
Yeah.
because it's a specific day.
Right.
But I think Sunday is the optimal day because
Yes.
you can have a full weekend. You can
Yeah.
party Saturday, party Sunday, full Monday recovery,
Yes.
4-day week.
Yeah. I mean, I think that long weekends, no matter what, are always the best way to do things. Like it's just so different, right? When because like, what do you do with July 4th when it's on a Wednesday?
I
Right?
was thinking about that. Yeah,
It
there's
sucks.
no really
No.
time
No,
off,
and that's coming. By the
right?
way, I looked this up the other day. Of July day. Here we go. I looked this up. There's a day, like in a couple of years, it's going to be on a Tuesday.
Ugh.
The worst day of the year.
Oh.
Well,
Or
and
worst day of the week, rather.
And the thing is, right, like, I know that this is obviously a big reason that you love Thanksgiving, right? Like, Thanksgiving, too, you get sort of like, you get Thursday, and Thursday's the day, but then, like, everybody's just like, you're not doing anything on Friday.
Nobody expects you
right,
to do that on
nobody expects
Friday.
you to do that, right? And so it turns into a 4-day weekend.
So here
Right.
we go. 2021, Monday. I'm okay with that, right? That's fine.
Fine.
You get no recovery on the back end. That's okay. But you get the 3-day weekend.
yeah.
2023, Tuesday.
Yeah, that's rough.
2024, Thursday.
That's not bad.
It's awful. It's awful.
Well,
Anything in those middle days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And here's the thing. We can fix this. We can just say Independence Day is celebrated on Sunday, the first Sunday in July.
right, and then you get that Monday
and it's
off.
observed Monday.
Yes.
Right? Because if you do that, it's what we do with President's Day. Right?
Yes.
President's Day, we just kind of picked a day that we're like, no, we want a 3-day weekend. We'll make it Monday. That's nobody's birthday. It's
Yeah.
not Washington's birthday. It's not Lincoln's birthday. We just picked a day.
Yeah,
We
but-
can do this.
Okay, but
Yes.
here's the thing, though. Here's the one thing, is that there is no holiday that is set on the weekend with an observed day off.
Yeah.
We can be trendsetters.
But so
We are,
if
but we
you-
are trendsetters. That's the thing.
I will
Tempers
say, if 4th of July is on a Monday, I don't care. I'm still celebrating only Sunday. Like I'm still. I don't care. I'm not staying up late on Monday if I have to go to work on Tuesday. That's still my recovery day, even if the Monday is.
So that's that's the thing. It's like I tweeted that and people were like, "Why wouldn't I was like, how it's going to be on Tuesday? And it's terrible." They're like, "Why wouldn't you just take PTO on Monday?" That's not my job.
What?
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Come on.
Like I only get X number of PTO days,
Yes,
right?
Especially in this industry.
Yes,
Right.
I shouldn't have to spend one of those precious days just making this into a 4-day weekend.
No,
Yeah.
you go to Terlingua.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. I think
I
it
get
should
ya.
always be on Sunday. I also think that Super Bowl Sunday should be a federal holiday so we can all
We
get
needed
observed
that Monday off. Yeah, I agree with
Everyone
that.
wins.
100%.
College football Monday. should be
College,
off.
yeah, college,
Yes, that too. College
college
basketball.
football national championship.
Yeah.
College basketball. What?
The Monday of the national
Yeah.
title game. Yeah. I think that I should have gotten a whole week off for Baylor winning the national title.
Oh. Every Baylor alum should just
I think
get that.
yeah,
all of it
like
all.
if your
Yeah.
if your team wins a title, like should you like you get bonus
you can
in
show
like 3
proof.
PTO days, like 3 PTO. Let's not go crazy. Let's not go crazy. You don't get a whole week, but like for example, if the Texas Rangers win the World Series, I just get 3 extra PTO days that I can cash in 1 year within
Well,
1 year of them winning Game 6.
If the Chicago Bulls win the title, I get a month because it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna
You just
happen.
get the whole year
you just
off at
get
that
to
point.
retire.
I'm just retired.
Just
I'm
get to
done.
retire.
I'm out.
All right, hit the theme expo. Let's go! Free money! Free
How to sing blues, baby.
Yes, yo! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today, a show that's doing all of its prep work right now because I forgot to do it. My name is Greg
Wow.
Tepper. I'm the managing editor. I'm just looking up whose birthday it is. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com. Corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. I don't have a nickname for her, which is
just Mallory.
just Mallory. It's just Mallory
Just
Hartley.
plain Mallory.
Just plain Mallory. Hi, Mallory.
Hi.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I want to point out. So somebody commented that there's no sign right
Oh,
here,
it's janky.
but I have my button,
There you go. She's
my
got her
Texas
button.
Football Today button that you can get at coaching school.
There
All
you
the
go.
coaches can come
She's got-
take one
thank
home.
you for.
I wanted to point that out.
Thank you for
so
doing your part to brand the show because
You're welcome.
the whole studio's falling apart behind
It
you.
is. It is.
And sitting to my right, joining us on today's show, he's the college football insider for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Is Shehan Jeyarajah, back from your well-earned vacation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I walked in here, realized I didn't bring my laptop with me. I don't know. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that.
Why would we expect you to do
I'm very cloudy right now. I think I told Mallory that earlier
Yeah.
during a production meeting.
vacation fog?
Yeah.
It's a real
still,
thing.
Still trying to come back.
I
sure.
100% agree. It's
Yeah.
a real thing.
It is.
Vacation fog is for real. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. Tuesday. Today's not Monday. Today is Tuesday. I know there are people out there who need reminding. July 6th, 2021. 142 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to 50 Cent.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Episode 1197? Is that right?
98.
98. 1198. Ooh, you get to do the 1200th show. What are we going to do special?
Oh,
Probably nothing.
that's what, in 2 days? And that's when I think of my own segment.
So you could do a 1200 episode spectacular.
Yes.
Wow.
I will think of something.
It's a
good.
round number.
It is.
On today's show, guys, we've got headlines from across the state, including Shehan is here because he's got to help me understand NIL. So we're going to talk about that. In the back half of the show, Shehan is also here to do the Baylor State of the Program address. We've been going through the 12 FBS programs in the state of Texas. Today is Baylor Day. We're going to break down the state of the program as Dave Aranda enters his second year there in Waco. We'll do that with one of the chief Baylor experts on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird media space. I will say
You
that.
do operate in a weird media. That's the best description of your job I've ever heard. I
Yeah.
operate in a weird media space.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot. I know quite a bit.
Yeah, you do know a lot.
We'll test that theory
Ooh.
coming
Big
up here
brain
at the
energy.
back half of the show. Do we have first four through the door, Mallory?
We sure do. It was Daniel Agnew, Aaron Arbuckle, Ed
McElroy.
McElroy, and Rob Hadaway.
She's getting
Welcome
there.
in,
It's fine.
fellas.
Welcome
Excuse me.
in. Thank you, Mallory. For
Congrats on learning how to read.
that. Yeah, good job.
Can I quit now?
Listen,
I'm
you
just
thought you were going to come on the show and we were going to be nice to you?
Oh man.
Come on.
No.
It's roast o'clock. Let's
It
go.
is.
Let's go. All right, let's get some headlines from across the state. We'll do one quick one on a bit of a sad note to start it off, and that is that Rice football has announced today that former legend, former Al Southwest Conference fullback or running back, safety, did a little bit of everything there. All Southwest Conference back in 1955, and it consists of 54 and consensus All-American in 1954. Dickie Magle. Dickie Magle has passed away. He was 86 years old. Dickie Magle was an All Southwest Conference player in 1954, an All-American player in 1954. He made the Pro Bowl in 1955. The pride of Taylor, Texas, the Taylor Duck. Believe it or not, he accepted a scholarship offer from Rice as a 16-year-old freshman, which is incredible because it was just the Wild West back then. But he is probably, because I told you, Shehan,
Yeah.
that Dickie Magle had passed away, and you kind of looked at me with like, Dickie Magle, should I know that name? If you don't know that name, that's okay. He was a football player in the 50s, but you probably know a play he's involved in, which is in the 1954 Cotton Bowl when, and here's the thing that happened, Rice destroyed Alabama.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Rice throttled Alabama. Dickie Magle was breaking off what was going to be a 95-yard touchdown run. He was in the clear. Nobody was going to catch him. And that is when Tommy Lewis from Alabama, without a helmet, jumped off the sideline and tackled him. It is one of the most famous plays in college football history. That was Dickie Magle running the ball there.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun question. Do you know how old Rice Stadium was?
In 1955? 1954? No, I have no idea.
It was 4 years old.
Golly.
Jeez.
We're talking way back when. But this was the referee at the time, I don't know who the official was. Cliff Shaw. He looked at that and he goes,
Cliff Shaw, of course.
yeah. He goes, nah, he was going to score. So he awards him a 95-yard touchdown, which I appreciate. I appreciate letting common sense reign in something like that. Of like, no, he was gonna go. Like, come on, let's not get crazy here. Like, throw a 15-yard penalty and cost him a touchdown. You know? What I mean?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know that there are a lot of memorable plays from the 1950s Cotton Bowls.
Sure.
But that is the one that I do remember
That's
most.
the one. So Dickie Magle has passed away at the age of 86. A terrific player. He in that game he set the all-time Cotton Bowl rushing record.
Wow.
Which was then broken in 2008 by Tony Temple of Missouri in a game that I was at.
Missouri, I don't know. I don't know that program.
It's a public land grant university. I think they're land grant university in Columbia, Missouri, Central Missouri. Brad Pitt went there, but did not graduate.
Bobby Petrino's team?
We'll get there. It's fine. It's fine. Don for no, it's fine. It's okay. We will. But anyway, Dickie Magle has passed away at the age of 86, an All Southwest Conference star. Okay, let's get to the other thing, and this is the big thing that happened last week, which is NIL, national. Good Lord. It's Monday, guys, and by Monday I mean Tuesday. Name, image, and likeness.
I guess I brought my vacation fog to everybody.
You really did. It's just
Yeah.
hanging over everybody.
It
man.
really is.
Name, image, and likeness became law for every NCAA student athlete starting last week.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, name, image, and likeness basically means that the NCAA can no longer prevent student athletes from profiting off of their name, image, and likeness. Think about the idea that fundamentally, there's a reason that you didn't see commercials with Johnny Manziel in them while he was at A&M, even though he was like one of the most famous people in America. Right?
Yes.
That is now gone. Is that is team athletes can go and they can profit off of their name, image, and likeness. Now, I think you and I don't think we've ever actually sat down and discussed it, but I think you and I are pretty much on the same page, which is I am pretty much pro player agency in basically every regard.
Yes.
And this feels like the first step towards even more player agency.
Yeah.
We're lockstep there, right?
So here's one thing that I'll say, right, is that when I was in college at Baylor University, which again we will talk about at the end of the program, I worked and did some stringing for the Dallas Morning News, and I got paid for it because I went to college to study something and then did some outside work. Very simple, right? I'm sure a lot of people did something similar. In the previous rules, that would not have been allowed for a college football player to do anything, not just anything football related, which obviously is a huge part, right? Like there's so much talk about ads. There was an offensive lineman at Marshall University who is a singer who performs at open bars and would have gotten paid for it, but couldn't, right? This isn't just about football. They were barred in any way possible from making money off their name, image, or likeness. There was a UCF football player who was a kicker a while back, had a YouTube page. He had to take it down because it was monetized, right? Like, this isn't even, oh my gosh, they get so much extra stuff. This is, oh my gosh, finally they're where everybody else is.
Yes, that we will treat them like every other college student.
Right.
Where, now, obviously, as Stephen Godfrey is calling them, the merit badge squad, the Boy Scouts out there are going to be very mad and say, oh, this is the first step towards the destruction of college football. And I want to be clear, I'm not pro the destruction of college football.
Very brave.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
But what I will say is, if your sport and the structure of the sport is reliant on making them the only adults in America who cannot profit off of their name, image, and likeness, then we've got bigger problems than college football.
Right. And that's the thing. This is a return to just normal. This isn't saying that schools can give millions of dollars, anything like that. This is just saying that for being who you are, for having your face, for having your name, for having things that belong to you, you're allowed to make money off of it. And, one that always sticks out to me is Katie Ledecky, the swimmer. Just absolute superstar at the 2016 Olympics. She wanted to swim for Stanford, so she had to not accept any endorsement money in order to swim at Stanford. Right. And eventually she was like, I can't turn down millions of dollars. This is ridiculous, right? This is more than I'm ever going to make just earning a degree from Stanford even. So I'm going to stop swimming for Stanford because I just have to make this money, right? And that's just ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. And I think that there's still steps to go. I don't want to act like this, to me, is the end of this, that this is enough, that this is acceptable, anything like that. But this is a first step. And I think that when you look at the landscape of what's happened already, there's been this talk about, oh, well, it's only going to be Spencer Rattler. He's going to be the only one who makes any money because nobody else is actually worth anything. Well, we've already seen so many athletes from so many different sports, men's and women's sports, Division I, Division II, Division III. So many different people make money off of this. And I think that's going to be something that's really cool is, hey, guess what? If you are the starting quarterback at North Texas, there's going to be an opportunity for you in Denton. If you are the starting left tackle at Wisconsin, right, there's going to be an opportunity for you. And so I think that's something that's already been really cool is realizing that, hey, there aren't just 7 football players who matter in America. Right. There's thousands of athletes.
Well, and it's a return. Like, if you're a fan of the free market, it's like, yeah, it should be like, you should be cheering.
Whoa,
right?
Radical.
Yeah, again, I'm going out on some limbs here today, but this is just a return to the free market. And so, look, you're going to read a lot, and I think that what's going to happen, this is how I foresee this happen. And I know you and Ishmael Johnson are going to talk a lot about this on Republic of Football, our outstanding college football podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice.
Hint, hint.
Republic of Football. But here's what I think is probably what's going to happen. I think for the first month or two, there's going to be this flood of these stories that are going to make people go, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at De'Aaron King opening up his own store online. And by the way, his stuff is kind of fire.
It's
really
good.
good.
I've seen it.
There's a
It's-
lot of mid stuff.
Oh yeah.
Jeyarajah Kings is not one of
Jeyarajah
it.
Kings is excellent. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, Isaiah Spiller was doing he sent out a tweet about a chicken finger restaurant in
Oh, dear.
in College Station. Oh my gosh, look at this, look at that. Oh, there's coming out today that like a Miami booster is saying that he's gonna make it so that he's gonna make $500,000 available for endorsements and stuff like that. There's gonna be all this like panic,
Right.
and then it's probably just gonna settle in. And I think that it's going to be a pretty nominal, pretty nothing burger impact as far as college football exists right now.
Right. And again, there's been so much talk about like, well, all these rich programs are just going to funnel money to people. But like the reality is that for you to have value, you have to play and matter to your community. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's one thing that really got lost during this whole conversation was, you know what, it is in many cases more valuable to be a star at a mid-level school than to be a somebody or a nobody at Alabama, right? And so,
Right.
and the other thing too is that it has to be said, because I don't know if this has totally gotten communicated, is that you cannot use the promise of endorsements, the promise of money in order to recruit. You can understand that once they get there, that they have more value being a student athlete at wherever, but like, that's an argument that anybody can make. I've seen, the other day I saw UTSA, I think that it was Will Stein, their passing game coordinator, put out something like, listen, we are the number 7 market in the United States, and we are the only football team in town. Guess what? You can go to wherever, you can go to Florida States and, compete in the giant Tallahassee market, or you can be a superstar in San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
And guess what? You might get more ads this way.
Right. And it's like there are so many. It's just a return to a free market system in the sense that, like, let's take media for example.
Yeah.
Let's take media for example. If you are most concerned about making the biggest brand, your biggest brand possible, like, yes, would ESPN be a good choice for Shehan Jeyarajah in that regard? Yeah, absolutely. More than Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I love us very much. But no, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that nobody's ever going to come work for Dave Campbell's Texas Football, because not everybody has the same kind of, not everybody has the same kind of values. Not everybody has the same kind. I'm not saying values. That's sort of a value judgment. And not everybody has the same kind of things that are important to them.
Right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
and the thing is too, right? Like, I think that's actually a really interesting example because, look, I am the Texas college football guy at this outlet, right?
Listen to this guy.
I know. Big talk, I know. But
I literally introduced you as the college football insider
Right.
for Dave Campbell's Texas.
Right.
Now I'm giving you trouble about it.
and so like in this space, I am king, right? Like I am all that sort of stuff. And so
Love it.
or I could, go to another outlet, maybe a nominally bigger outlet and just be a dude. Right.
Yeah.
Like I think that I guess I've gotten added to national voting, in national award voting. Right.
Yeah.
I've gotten added to national committees. I don't know if I have done that at a bigger publication necessarily. Right. This is the best situation for me. And I think that every college football player is going to just simply have to make the same decision that any other adult human has to make.
And here's the other thing, and then we'll move on, I promise. But I think the concern is like, oh man, now Alabama and Ohio State and all these guys, they're going to get all the 4- and 5-star prospects.
Oh no. Oh,
First
no.
of all, guys.
Oh boy.
First of all, guys, if you want to fix
Be
that,
still my heart.
if you want to fix that, let's talk about the college football playoff. But
That's for another day.
that's for another day. But the thing is that I just don't think that a 4- or 5-star player who is ostensibly, at that point, you are thinking, I want to play in the NFL. If you're a
Yes.
4- or 5-star player, I want to play in the NFL.
The reason that everybody goes to Alabama isn't because Alabama is going to funnel up more money. It's because they want to play in the NFL where they can make money.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, winning helps too. But like, yeah,
It does.
that's
But winning helps you get to the NFL.
correct. Exactly right. That's not suddenly going to become a situation where, like the 4- and 5-star prospects are going to start being like, they're not going to start flooding to Rutgers is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Okay.
Yeah.
That it's, I think that
I
there's-
think you underestimate Greg Schiano.
I think I do. I just don't think that this is, I think there's going to be a lot of Chicken Littles There's going to be a lot of the sky is falling from people who are, in my opinion, some of them are operating in bad faith. But I don't think that this is going to have some sort of seismic impact on what college football looks like. I just think that now you're just going to see some, like if you follow Austin Awney, he might just tweet about like, hey, by the way,
What's the place in Denton now?
yeah, what's the place at Denton?
My favorite place is LSA, but
Okay,
go with that.
Austin Awney might be like, hey, I really like LSA, you should try it. I don't
Yeah.
know what LSA is.
Yeah, you know what I'm really looking forward to? I'm really looking forward to some college kid, some college football player endorsing like a restaurant that everybody just thinks sucks. Like just the most basic place in town.
Yeah.
Like the well actually endorsement.
Right.
The well actually endorsement. It's like you might think that Jim's shrimp stinks, but the quarterback here at Abilene Christian, want you to know that in fact Jim's shrimp is awesome. Hashtag ad.
There's a lot of meme potential.
Oh
there
man.
is. There
And
is.
I will say, just to close this out, this is not a lot of money that we're
No.
likely talking about, right? Like Derek King, who's one of the biggest stars in the whole sport, right? Talked about on the first day, he signed deals worth potentially up to $20,000, which is a lot of money for Derek King, right? But it's not like it's not millions and millions, right? That's just being funneled to get some kid to go somewhere. Because the other thing too is like you even talk about funneling and that sort of thing, right? Like, hey, guess what? There's 85 players on a college football roster. It's hard to figure out how to funnel money.
Yes.
It's just really hard. And so, it's going to be a couple $1,000s for a lot of kids, and that's going to be a life-changing amount of money for a lot of kids.
And I think it's cool too that I know some of these kids are using that money for good, like
Yeah.
this opportunity for good. Like Casey Thompson, projected starter for
Yeah.
Texas, he's using all of his donating all of his proceeds to a program called No Kid Hungry. It's
Yeah.
a national campaign that was designed to fight hunger.
Yeah.
And I think that's really.
I think you're going to see it a
Really
lot.
cool.
I think you're going to see a lot of guys that. And yes, I want to be clear because your point is well taken. There are people who are going to go out there and profit off this.
Yes.
And that's good. That's kind of the point.
It's good.
Right.
But I also think what you're going to see is guys who are like, hey, if you want to improve your image, if you want to improve your brand, Casey Thompson, a perfect example of a guy who probably thinks he wants to go play in the NFL. He doesn't think Texas is his last stop, hopefully. He wants to improve his brand. He's going to be like, hey, you know what? I want to show that I'm a good citizen. I'm a good member of the community and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I think that's gonna be
and I believe like Casey Thompson, I believe is like the son of a former college football player.
Yeah.
Like I don't think his family needs money, right? There's going
Right.
to be examples where there are people who need money, and it is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Like Jemias Ramsey was one, right? Like his mom's, he was a basketball player at Texas Tech. Like his family's house burned down, and he was like, I
Yeah.
need to make money right now. And the best part about it, and I think one of the things that's going to be healthiest for college sports heading forward, is that if you are in a situation like that where you need to make money, there will be opportunities available to you to where you can still play college sports.
Right. Okay. There's some NIL talk. You
Yeah.
can probably get more of it. I haven't. You guys haven't recorded it.
No, it's
Not
tomorrow.
yet.
But you can get more of it on the new episode of Republic of Football, starring Shehan, Jeyarajah, and Ishmael Johnson, expertly produced by Mallory Hartley. If you go to TexasFootball.com or to the podcast vendor of your choice, look for Republic of Football. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. If you want your 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you, it's starting to hit newsstands. I believe some people have picked them up at their local
Some.
stores. But I will tell you the same thing I say every year. We don't control the trucks.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We don't.
Like, I wish I did. Trust me, I wish I did. I wish everybody could have it. But if you want it mailed to you and get a lot of other great content at TexasFootball.com, a year's worth of it, you can go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. And if you like podcasts like this or the Republic of Football, then perhaps that is a good way to show it and be like, hey, you know what? It ends up being not very much a month. I think it's $29.95
it's
a
like
year.
less than
something like
$3 a month.
that. Exactly. Yeah. If you want to show that you love Shehan Jeyarajah,
Wow.
TexasFootball.com/subscribe.
king.
I
Or-
did just buy a house, and
There
I
you
would
go.
like to be able to live in it.
And here's another thing. If you want to spite Shehan Jeyarajah and you want to show him how much you hate the Republic of Football, go in there and just in the notes be like, subscribe, be like, I'm doing this because I don't like Shehan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vote with your money, one way or another.
One way or another, but no matter what, vote at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It's the only polling place. What a dumb ad read. Okay. You should advertise with us. You can get ad reads like that. Okay. We are continuing our series of state of the program addresses with all 12 FBS programs in the state of Texas. We have now landed in Central Texas, in Waco, Texas. North Central Texas?
Central Texas.
Central Texas.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Where we will talk about the Baylor Bears here with Dave Campbell's Texas Football College Football Insider Shehan Jeyarajah. Hello, Shehan.
Hey, long time no see.
I know, it's been a minute. Okay, let's talk about Baylor. A second year now entering under Dave Aranda. I know Bill Connolly, our friend from ESPN, put out started his Big 12 piece, and he referred to last year as year 0 for Dave Aranda. I think that's an apt way of describing it, considering gestures broadly. So it's probably the toughest question to ask, but what is the state of the program at Baylor right now?
Yeah, so I think that 2020 was an interesting year for a lot of reasons. I think primarily, the staff change, of course, has to be a big part of it. The player attrition after the 2019 season, right? This was not the same team that took the field in 2019 for a lot of reasons. And I think that the other thing that you say is that this is a team that I think struggled without having spring camp in 2020 as much as any team in the country did. And a big part of the reason for that, not to get too much into it, but on their offensive staff, Dave Aranda really tried to replicate what they had done at LSU on offense. They tried to bring in, a seasoned offensive coordinator in Larry Fedora, kind of mix it with some passing game coordination from George Munoz. And that takes a lot of chemistry. Like, I think that we look at what happened with Joe Brady at LSU in 2019 and think, oh, well, they just want to do that again. Well, most teams can't do that. That's just not realistic in a lot of cases. And I think that Dave Aranda realized that. He went and fixed the problem. He brought in, obviously, a new offensive coordinator in Jeff Grimes, a new offensive line coach in Eric Mateos, a new wide receivers coach in Chancey Stuckey, and also a new cornerbacks coach as well after his cornerbacks coach left to become a defense coordinator. And so this is, I think that the state of the program right now is to be determined. They're kind of in the middle of something, I think. Now, the thing that I will say is that what making these decisions tells me more than anything is that Dave Aranda is evaluating. He is trying to look at it. He's not married to anything. He's not a little too stuck in his ways, a little too stubborn. He's willing to try things. And so I think that they're on the early part of a growth. I think they're heading in the right direction, but it's going to be a process.
So in a lot of ways, if you're taking 2020 as a starting point for Baylor, which is basically the only data point we have to go off of on the Dave Aranda era, I think it's fair to say that the defense was,
very good, I thought.
Pretty darn good.
Yeah, very good.
And the offense was a disaster.
Awful.
It was very bad. And so I guess let's start with fixing the offense.
Mm-hmm. Jeff
Grimes comes in, and of course he ran the BYU offense, which was one of the very best in the nation. Depending on who you ask, it may have been the best in the nation. They bring him in as the offensive coordinator. So what's this offense going to look like, especially with a personnel that is undergoing a lot of turnover, replacing 4 offensive linemen, replacing a quarterback? What do you think this Baylor offense is going to look like?
Yeah, so first of all, I have a piece up at TexasFootball.com that I published before I went on vacation that you should definitely check out. So the biggest thing that they say is that they are going to have an identity in a way that they just never did last season. And so what that's going to be built around is they're going to be a wide zone offense. That's what Jeff Grimes ran at BYU to great success. And what that means is they're going to be kind of a stretch running game. That's what everything is built around. And one thing that they told me a lot was that almost every play is going to look the same on the offensive line. They're going to block the same wide zone system, whether it's a run, whether it's a pass, and they're just going to attach things to it. That's really what it comes down to, is that it's going to be pretty simple. The system itself, wide zone isn't an easy system to run as an offensive lineman, but it is going to be, you need to be decisive, you need to be trained, you need to, kind of be able to execute it at a very high level. That's what it's going to be built around more than anything. And so I wish that I had the phrase in front of me that he said, but basically it's, we run a few plays in a lot of different ways, with as much misdirection as any team in the country. I think that's actually the exact quote. And so what that means, that's a whole lot of words. Yeah. But what it means is that a lot of these plays are going to be built out of the same look. But it's just going to, again, be concepts attached. It's going to be, the receiver's going to run this, but it's still in the middle going to be the same, right? It's going to be the same type of play. And so basically the idea is, man, we only have a couple of practices with these guys. We only have a couple of years with these guys. We want to give them something that they can digest and adjust to, and then build around it and kind of have, again, you can do whatever with the receivers. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever with the running backs. It doesn't really matter. But on the offensive line, this is our direct identity. And so that's what they want more than anything, is to be able to be sort of a stretch run team, to be able to get to the outside and be able to be decisive in a way that we really never saw last season.
All right. I'm gonna give you. I hate these questions, but I know that people in radio do it all the time to me on interviews, and so I finally get to reverse the whip on somebody.
All right.
What is the bigger concern for the Baylor offense? The offensive line or the quarterback?
Oh, it has to be offensive line. I think that even dating back to 2017, Matt Rule's first season in Waco, I don't think that this has been a unit that has developed the way that you needed them to. And so, there's been so much talk about Charlie Brewer last season, but listen, the way that they blocked last season was a huge issue. And talking to Dave Aranda, again, this is in the article at TexasFootball.com, he said that one of the hardest things to do right now is to drop back pass and block inside zone. And they tried to do both those things a lot last season. And so they're trying to go the opposite of that, is basically what it comes down to. But look, it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. And there are 4 guys that are very much in that quarterback competition, and Gary Bohannon, Jacob Zeno, Blake Shapen, and Kyron Jones. But it doesn't matter who's going to start, what their skill set is, if you can't keep them healthy, if you can't keep the game in front of them. And so I will say, this system also does emphasize, look, we are going to bootleg our quarterback. We are going to get guys on the run. We are going to zone read, stuff like that. That's a big part of it. But if they can't execute at a high enough level, it really doesn't matter what else they do. If they can't block for the running backs, if they can't block for the quarterbacks. And they've really tried to address that position in a big way. They added some transfers. Jacob Gall was the top-rated left guard in America, according to Pro Football Focus last year, but he might play center at Baylor in this wide zone scheme. They added a transfer from Vanderbilt, Grant Miller, who played center and might actually play guard at Baylor. They have a guy in Connor Galvin who they're very high on and has been a tremendous left tackle for them for a couple of years, so that position I think is kind of locked down. And they have some other young guys coming in there that they're pretty optimistic about, and they still might take more transfers. So they're trying to rebuild this on the fly because they know that nothing's going to change unless that changes.
Doing the Baylor State of the Program address here with Shehan Jeyarajah here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let's now go over to the defense, where there's probably nicer things to talk about at least, or at least more positive things from 2020 to talk about. I think that the linebackers for Baylor, is it overstating to say it could be the best linebacker core in the Big 12? I mean, I think Terrell Bernard and Jalen Petrie are awesome, and could be the. Is it fair to say? It's not fair to put that question to you. Is it fair to say that is the strength, not just of the defense, but of maybe the entire team?
Well, I will say it depends on how you classify Jalen Petrie.
Oh, here we go.
They do sort of classify him as a defensive back, but I think that here's what I'll say about Baylor is that I think that they have 3 of the best defensive players in the state of Texas. And Terrell Bernard at linebacker, Jalen Petrie at that star position, which sometimes lines up at DV, sometimes lines up at linebacker, and Raleigh Tejada at cornerback. I mean, that's as good a threesome as I think you're going to find. And they're also very optimistic. The weak part of this defense last year was the defensive line. They've added a transfer at nose tackle named Siaki Ika from LSU, and he is just not the kind of player that you usually get at Baylor University. He is big. He's like 330 pounds and disruptive, right? Yeah. You just don't get that. He's not a gap filler. And so I think that when you have those 4 guys, that's a great base. And you do return 10 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Now, again, it is going to come down, I think, in a lot of ways to that defensive line, whether they're able to get pass rush with their defensive ends. But, they have the pieces in place, I think, to be one of the best defenses in the Big 12 and in the state of Texas and even nationally, just with the production that they return. Even you look at safety, right? Like, you've got guys in JT Woods and Christian Morgan who have been there for years at this point. A lot of production, a lot of experience from that group. And at linebacker, too, Petrie sometimes lines up in that role. Terrell Bernard, obviously, down there, too. And Dylan Doyle really showed some flashes at times last year too. So this is a unit that I think top to bottom is as complete as any group in the Big 12 and in the country. And like you mentioned, if Terrell Bernard stays healthy, Jalen Petrie I think is the X factor of this defense, being able to line up anywhere on the field. Could be a really good unit.
So I asked this to Jeremy Clark of Horned Frog Blitz last week about TCU, and I'll ask you the same question. Who's the guy that could be the breakout star of this team? Who's the guy that could be the one is like, man, we should have seen this coming. It ends up he's one of their very best players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for people in the know, Siaki Ika is a guy that we almost expect this from at this point. But this is going to be the guy that I think by the end of the year, everybody's talking about in the Big 12. Like, talking to some of their staffers, like, they were like, man, this guy's going to be first team all Big 12. Like, this guy is going to be one of the best players in the Big 12 on the defensive side of the ball. And like I mentioned, I mean, he is huge. He was I believe, like, borderline top 100 kid coming out of high school. Very disruptive for LSU, just kind of, it wasn't the best situation for him, so he decided to come and rejoin his old defense coordinator, Jeyarajah, at Baylor. And he is just a center point, right? Like I mentioned, their defensive line was really the issue last season in a lot of ways. And when you have that presence in the middle, like Baylor fans will remember Andrew Billings, right? Andrew Billings is a total game changer at nose tackle. Well, when you have a guy like that, it makes things so much easier for all the defensive linemen, for the defensive ends. And obviously with Baylor, too, and the way that Dave Aranda plays his system, it means that Terrell Bernard and Jalen Petrie are going to be able to get after the quarterback, too. So he's the guy that I think has the potential to take this Baylor defense from being very good, which it was last year, it was very good, to potentially being an elite unit.
So I think it's fair to say, okay, unless they go 0-12 or some sort of external thing happens, Dave Aranda's not getting fired. Okay, just hold it. So he's not on the hot seat or anything like that. Especially coming off of what was such a strange 2020. So they go 2-7 last year. We actually have a 12-game schedule, which is super cool and like a nice change of pace here.
How about that?
I don't want to pin a win total on you, but what would in your opinion would signify success in 2021, a successful year for Baylor?
Yeah, I think it's making a bowl game. Look, last year, like you mentioned, is a weird year, and especially with Baylor and Texas Tech, I feel like I come back to this, right? Like, you lose 3 non-conference games. Baylor lost 3, Texas Tech lost 2. And if Baylor wins 3 non-conference games, which you expect them to do this year, it's a 5-7 year, which does not feel the same as 2-7, right? And so this year, I think that I'm looking at it more from, okay, you went 5-7 almost last season. Not that they did, but that it feels like that. So I need to see more than that this year. I need to see progress from that this year. And you do have a very young offense. That's a huge part of it. You have a new quarterback coming in. You've got a new offensive system. You still are trying to figure out that offensive line. But I think that for Baylor, I think that they are at a point as a program to where if you do not make a bowl game, that is a disappointing season one way or another. Even in a down year, even in a bad year, you should be expecting to be in a bowl game. I think that's where Baylor's at this point.
And I will just say, to kind of close it out, the schedule sets up that if you're going to have a young offense, which they are, with a lot of new pieces, you open at Texas State, Texas Southern, at Kansas, okay? Your first real test, all due respect to our Bobcat friends and our Tigers friends, your first real test doesn't come until September 25th. Now that's Iowa State, and you like one of the final exams comes in the 4th game of the year, but you do have some time to build up and get some real game reps there. In games that you should be favored in.
Yeah, and I look at that Iowa State game. It's such an interesting matchup to me because back in 2019, for people who remember that season from Baylor, right? Like Baylor goes and they go up, I think it was 20-0. Iowa State comes back, goes up 21-2, and they win at the last second on a field goal, right? And that ended up portending great things for that season. They ended up winning 11 games and all that sort of stuff, right? Baylor did. And so I don't expect by any means for Baylor to beat Iowa State. There's no reason that they should, right? But I think that we're going to learn a lot about how competitive this team is going to be in that game. It is a game at home. It is the first conference, they play Kansas, but the first real conference game for Baylor at home. Are they able to be that level of competitive? Are they able to take it down to the wire? Are they able to make it a game in the 4th quarter, or do they get blasted? Because that's certainly in consideration too. And so I think that we're going to learn coming off of that game whether this team has the upside to be super competitive in the Big 12, even if they don't win. I'm not saying that being super competitive means winning 9 games, but if they're able to be competitive in every game and win 6 games and make a bowl game, I think you have to feel very good about this team.
I think you're spot on. That that Iowa State, they should be 3-0. If there's not 3-0 going into that game, they got bigger issues. But they should go. And I don't know what Iowa State's schedule look like. They may be undefeated as well.
They play Iowa.
They're not going to. They should beat Iowa.
Well, that's literally every year.
El Asico, yeah. But I will say that with that Iowa State game, if they come out and they lose 34-27,
Yeah.
I think you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't get a win, but things are moving in the right direction. But they come out and they get blasted like 42-3.
Right.
Then it's like you wonder where the progress is coming with Baylor. He's Shehan Jeyarajah. He's our college football insider here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at Shehan Jeyarajah, spelled exactly as it sounds. Thanks. Hold on. We have some questions for you.
All right.
Let's go over to Mallory Hartley for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I've got one.
Yeah.
So somebody in the comments said that Chipotle put out a tweet saying that they need somebody to sponsor, and I think I should be.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
So you're willing to step up to the plate and
I'm
take money
willing
from
to
a major corporation? How brave of you.
I'm willing to take one for the team. I have Chipotle pretty much every week, so I think that if somebody from Chipotle is watching this, that
Well,
they
you know
should
what?
sponsor
I
me.
appreciate you standing up for that tiny company known as McDonald's, and taking their money. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. That's a
Yep.
little local burger joint that's, turned into nice things. You guys do know Chipotle's owned by McDonald's, right?
Yes.
I hope you
I
know
didn't.
that.
I actually didn't know.
You didn't know that? Yes,
no,
they are
but
owned
I
by
do
the same
now.
company.
You
Yeah,
learn something new every day.
Chipotle does
Yes.
get a bad rap.
They do. Yeah.
It's a quite
Chipotle's-
good lunch.
Chipotle is
restaurant.
quite
Yeah.
solid. I want to be very
Yes.
clear.
Yes.
Chipotle is
It
quite
is.
solid.
Yes.
But yes, that's a good way to end it. Okay, Mallory, how do you think this went?
I think it went really well.
Do you want to do this again tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely,
I mean, Shehan, you can come
100%.
too.
I'll
I mean,
be here.
Powers is going to be sitting in that chair, but you can just kick him out.
That's okay.
I'll sit on his lap.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. For Mallory Hartley and Shehan Jeyarajah, I'm Greg Tepper.
Vince Young, come get your Player of the Year trophy.
We will see you tomorrow for Texas Football Today.